What's going on, guys? We are excited to bring you guys episode 2 of Real Healthy Convos. We have our special friend here. His name is Ivan joining us today. We have my beautiful fiancée Sabrina, my beautiful friend Alexis, and myself. My name is Steven. And what's today's topic, guys?
Today's topic is about having friends of the opposite sex while in a relationship.
Oof, that's gonna get going. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's good. That's deep.
Yeah. So
that one hits a little close to home.
A little close.
So I would love the female perspective on this, if you guys don't mind.
So we actually have the dynamic here is crazy because we literally have our single sister in Christ, Lexi, and then we have 2 fiancés, and then we have Ivan, who's in a relationship with his girlfriend. So we have
different perspectives.
Almost every perspective,
every angle.
Every angle.
But it gets better actually. But you guys are gonna find out.
Yeah, sure.
Just keep watching.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd love to get you guys' perspective, the female perspective first, because obviously ladies always go first.
Let's get the single female perspective first.
Yes, let's get into it. Okay. Okay, so I think that I've been in a situation, well, I was in a relationship, and my boyfriend at the time had a lot of female friends. And for me, it was like, I personally wasn't emotionally mature enough to accept that. I feel like I was like maybe insecure, maybe I just was, I didn't understand like why have, like, to me, I was like, why do you have to have girlfriends? Like when I'm your girlfriend, you know? And so it just made me question like what happened prior to me. Why are you guys so close? Like, did you guys do anything? And it was kind of hard for me to understand, like, if he said no, I had to have faith and trust and believe his words, you know? He could be lying to me, I wouldn't know. So to me, it was just like, I had to really, and I think it was like an issue for a while, and there was a lot of difficult conversations because I couldn't really like get over that. Yeah. But I remember he was very like, you know, very honest, very open, very, I would say, understanding on my end too. Like he never made me feel bad. He would always try to explain to me like the situation and let me know like we never did anything. We're just friends. Like just relax. Like it's not even a big deal. But I understand where you're coming from. And I think even at a point in time they kind of stopped being friends because it was just like uncomfortable for me, you know. So back then I was uncomfortable for the fact that I was maybe just like not used to that situation. But now that I feel like I've gone through it and I see different perspectives and I see different situations, I'm able to be like, okay, like I think there's healthy boundaries that need to be put in place, hard conversations that need to be had, and just trust and confidence within yourself. So it's like,
have you changed your mind?
Have I changed my mind? I think that as if I were to go into a relationship and he had a best friend that's a female, I think I would really want to know about her, about their friendship, about like their dynamic. And I would have to have like those conversations and boundaries set so that way I don't feel uncomfortable or threatened of their friendship to make me feel a certain type of way. You know what I mean? Because I don't think there's an issue now, but I do feel like there is a fine line of like, there's definitely a boundary of that. So yeah, that's how
I have a fun perspective on that.
Fun.
I think it's I guess I should start by saying we have polar opposite like beliefs around that. I feel like people who feel that uncomfortableness with like an opposite sex, it's more internal than anything else, because while everything you said is 100% true, that is the case. It's always going to be the case. You never know what's in the other person's head, but the way you choose to see things really is how they will play out. So whether or not, think about it, if that person is or isn't cheating, you'll never know. But if you think that they are, you still wouldn't know, but you think that they are. So you're affected by it the same way as if they were or if they weren't. So that's the part.
True.
And then it just affects you and the
now
relationship.
every little thing
Yeah.
looks like it could be what you, because you're setting the expectation.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, you're setting the expectation.
It's like believing what you don't see.
There you go. So
Jesus Christ.
but I'm saying this is why I feel like it's opposed. It's not a negative perspective, but I feel like whatever you choose to look for, it's like you could choose willful ignorance. You could just be like, I'm choosing to be with this person because I think that this person, like, I'm not gonna have to deal with the situations. Like, I'm choosing not to, regardless of what it may look like to other people.
Yeah.
It's peace. You just choose peace.
Wow.
I feel like you choose peace, but I don't, it's not that I don't choose
You
peace.
choose violence.
I don't choose
violence.
I'm not choosing violence. I just think that I wouldn't prefer it. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah,
So
everybody
But
has,
what is
everybody has their thing. You know?
What is the reason
what
why?
is the
Yeah, because like this
reason?
is also a reason because we could literally. The thing is that we could literally run into someone today, like right now, and they could be like, "Oh, I don't care at all," and it like I would, and someone could actually come up to us and be like, "I would prefer." Like, and we don't know why they think
But
that
I
way.
think now, like that, I see it. It's so cool. Like I just never experienced it. You know.
And you still wouldn't prefer it.
I mean,
You would just never experienced it.
That's
You ever
exactly.
just see like a
Exactly.
we saw
Well,
like a sermon or like a show yesterday about like it's always important to have somebody of the opposite sex in your corner, so that way you can kind of
Perspective.
just
to
get
have
perspective and just
brothers
get
and
like
sisters
yeah,
in Christ.
Yes,
somebody
in
that
Christ.
like
Jesus.
a genuine relationship where that person does not see you in any other way but a sister or a brother, and like it creates like a sense of like just like a shield of protection as a friend, because it's like important to have somebody.
And you
that
get a
can turn to.
third party, because think about it, if you're, let's say, I'll use girls in this example, you're mad at something your guy did, right? You call your homegirl and explain to him what he did. She might have
biased.
gone through something similar,
Yeah.
so she's biased.
Yeah.
And she'll be like,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
like, no way.
But a guy
But
could be
he'll be like, well, did you consider this?
Yeah.
Like, I did
Yeah.
not consider that. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's
No,
true.
it's so true. It's so true. And some people might take that as like manipulating and like, oh, of course a guy is gonna say that. But it's like, it obviously depends on who you have in your life, right?
Yeah,
Like,
1000%.
so. And I think the only reason you're saying is you would consider it now is because of us.
Exactly. No, 100%.
This
Yeah.
whole
So
dynamic.
100%.
I think at the end of the day, it always is going to boil down to what the dynamic of the actual couple is, and like their relationship and their communication and their trust within each other and their level of maturity,
Right.
Yeah.
their level of just being able to be just completely transparent and make each other feel like there's nothing that could ever
Get in the way
of
or
it. You know what I
that
mean?
become an
It's-
issue.
yeah, because that's something that's like it takes a level of maturity, you know, that would allow that, obviously, but I think it's just a matter of what that dynamic is, and then depending on that dynamic as a couple, is can allow you to be able to go into the world and not feel like you need to feel insecure or jealous, you know?
Yeah.
Because those are attacks of the enemy, I feel.
It is, and it does keep us from community, and it keeps us from you know those establishing those strong relationships and those strong friendships and building like a strong foundation. So I do see that, and I also do think that, you know, until the trust is broken, like what are you getting mad at? Like what are you really getting mad at? And it's like that's what I'm learning, and that's what I'm able to like, you know, like as I'm growing, as I'm becoming you know, better woman in general, it's like allowing somebody to be an individual without feeling like the controlling and like jealous and like insecure and just like you're
actually going backwards now.
Yeah, it's like you're your individual before me. Oops. So
it's like I'm gonna give you the grace until you do something to make me feel otherwise. And I used to be backwards, and I think you used to be backwards. It's like, no, I'm not giving you grace. And then until you prove that you should be given grace.
Yeah.
I feel like that's trauma from your past.
It is trauma, yeah. It's
Projecting that,
100% trauma, but we're literally operating the opposite now.
I think when you said something about relationships, a major issue is there's no sense of direction for relationships in general. So think about this: if you have a girlfriend, couple homies, and like some coworkers, right? And you don't set any specific expectations, boundaries, or purposes for those relationships, just like, yeah, we can hang out, we'll be boys, you know, you're my girl, yeah, we'll go have this. Like, you don't set, no one has a boundary, an expectation, a routine, a purpose.
Yeah.
It'll be easy for your significant other to feel like their role is blurred with someone else's role, because it's like we go to the movies, but you also go to the movies with your homegirls from work or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's no purpose and no expectations and no guidelines. Not that it has to be so rigid, but I feel like that's where the relationships across the board get like blurry, because it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, especially as you get older. I feel like the older you get, the more mature you get, hopefully, because obviously there's older guys and older women that are just immature, obviously. But I think the more you mature emotionally, mentally, you're able to understand those things and make them very clear. And when you're starting to date or you're in a relationship that's a serious one, you have to be intentional. You have to be very mindful, and you have to be conscious of a lot of things, especially like everybody's different. Like, you know what I mean? Every woman and
cultural differences.
And men, like, there's so many things that you have to take into consideration when dating and being in a relationship, that, that one person is not going to be the same exact as the other person. You have to be very just understanding of who you're actually in a relationship with, so you can respect their actual, like, their life, just the way they see things, their perspective, because, you know what I mean? And it's going to take some time. It's like a muscle, you have to train it. So, or an AI, you have to train it, you know what I mean? So I think it all boils down to how mature you are in your relationship, what the actual dynamic is, and how you guys communicate. And I feel like it also depends on your past as well. I think the past matters, because if someone has a traumatic experience, it's only going to require you to heal from that experience and for you to take action to be able to get through it, whether that's internally, like yourself, or seeking a third party, like a therapist, or just being able to even pray for that chain to break. I feel like it's like a bondage thing, because when you hold on to past trauma, it doesn't allow you to move forward and really experience the full fruits of community. I think when you're in a relationship and you're able to be free in that relationship, and like, obviously with all the respect, of course, be free. What I mean by that is mainly like participate in community, being able to go out and just be in a room and like be able to engage with other people of the opposite sex, and like just not have your partner feel any type of way. That takes a very strong level of maturity, I feel. And since this world is like so promiscuous, you can say, or just like very, it's just, it's a tempting world.
And unpredictable.
Yeah, so like I feel like that's a very, very important thing to be, just conscious of.
And I really agree with that too, because say you're in a relationship and your partner has a friend of the opposite sex, and that person is making you feel uncomfortable. Maybe they're crossing the boundary, or maybe they are interested. Like, you don't never know a friend's intention. Like, are they a friend that's going to be just waiting on the sideline for that opportunity? You know what I mean?
True.
So it's like having discernment as a woman, like, is so important. As a man too, it's so important to like really like be equally yoked with your partner, for you to be like, look, this makes me feel uncomfortable for these reasons, and if they were to receive that with love and not like a jealous thing, then that allows you to both grow and see things, and that creates healthy boundaries, But I feel like that's another where it could get a little tricky too, because it's like you never know the opposite friend's intentions, and that's where I think it kind of gets a little.
It's like, no, I trust you. I just don't trust them.
But that's that's always like the biggest thing. It's always like, and I've said that myself. Like I've literally been like, I trust you, that's fine, but I don't trust that other person. Yeah. But then it's also like, when you say that, you have to also check yourself, because it's like, what do you mean you don't trust the other person? Like, okay, you cannot trust the other person, that's fine, but that shouldn't take away the trust you have from your partner. So like, I said that like years ago. I don't like when I was like 21 years old. Like, I said that like, oh, I trust you, like it's fine, but I don't trust that person. But then I also was like now, especially like in the past couple of years, I'm like, wait, I cannot say that, because it has nothing to do with the other person. Like, if I trust my partner fully, why would it matter if I trust the other person or not? Like, my whole perspective was like, my brain rewired, and I'm like, no, it makes so much sense, because for me, like, I have my personal situation, like, with me and Ivan, I know some people know here, but people that are not watching, me and Ivan are best friends before I met Steven. And he had to accept the fact that we were best friends. And obviously it worked out when, like, the way God wanted it to. Like, they became business partners, like everything, like, obviously. But it was more so, I would have been upset if Steven came to me and said, it's not that I don't trust you, it's that I don't trust him. I would have been mad. I would have been like, so that I would have been like, you're all the only thing I heard that you just said is that you don't trust me.
Yeah.
That's literally what it would have been.
Yeah, it would have been
Listen,
that.
You trust me, and
Yeah, so it
Why
doesn't
would
matter
you
who you
trust?
trust.
Yeah.
Because, like, you could throw me into the wolves and be like, it doesn't matter what anyone else does. Like, I just trust you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of concept. So I had to think about it. So I'm like, I would be really upset if Steven said that to me because I would be like, how dare you, first of all? Like, first of all, how dare
Thank
you?
God for
Because...
being emotionally intelligent, for being mature,
No,
for being,
yeah.
you know what I mean? I find myself like through my experiences in life, through my experiences in past relationships, and just being in a relationship with you, you know, I've been able to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to learn discernment. I've been, you know, wise. I've been able to be wiser, become wiser, being more mature in relationships, and like when it comes to understanding relationships and dynamics of friendships, like I never felt any type of insecurity. I think my past relationships have created more of like an experience for me to understand like what not to like experience and what not to feel, and then I didn't let that. I didn't bring that into my new relationship.
Yeah.
And I felt like that allowed me to heal from that and not let my past traumas, my past like experiences seep into this one.
Yeah.
And like it allowed me to see the relationship that you and Ivan had and like appreciate it. You know what I mean? And I created my own relationship with him, which is also very important too. Like if you're, you know, if I can,
that's crazy.
you know, if I can build my own relationship with your best friend and make him my brother, then that's gonna allow me to like never ever have to doubt it, because it's like, I mean, I never did it from the start, but regardless, you know what I mean? Like if I can make the effort to make my own relationship and build my own relationship and actually intentionally do it with, you know, with that like feeling of like, damn, like we can build our own relationship, it could be really cool together, you know?
But that's a perfect example of someone who took the situation that they previously dealt with and did the opposite. Because it's like people could literally play the cards that they were dealt again.
And that's through the grace of God. That's through my personal development. That's through the videos I've watched, the podcasts, the books, the just the effort that I put into it. Like that's just not gonna magically happen.
No,
you know? Like it's gonna take
especially
effort.
with your situation.
Absolutely.
Like with his situation, he could have literally like treated me the complete opposite. He could have, because he's already dealt with something that he's like, you know, it was just like he could easily just not trust me. Like he could be like, no. I'm not doing this again. You know, I'm not doing this again. Let's just say that. I've said it before. I said I'm not doing this again. You know,
nobody knows what happened in my previous relationship. Well, some people do, but
I do.
Like it's literally like a movie. Like I will make a movie of it one day, probably.
Yeah, no, honestly.
You guys will.
Everyone on blast.
I'll tell you guys off camera what it was. And we maybe talk about it on the podcast in the future. But
I want to know. I feel like everyone knows what we do. Do you know?
No, she doesn't. No one knows. No one knows.
No one really knows. States like
I know, but like, but that's why I'm
shit.
so like he's like, I admire the way he's thinking, because he could have literally just done the opposite of the grace he's given me. He could have been like, no, absolutely not, because of what he's already dealt with right beforehand. And I did that in the beginning of our relationship. There was some things that I was like, no, because I already dealt with this. But then I quickly had to like switch my mindset because of also what he's doing for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like I changed so fast. Like in our relationship in the beginning, like I changed who I was so fast because I was like, I love him and I don't want to, like, he's willing to, like he's not scared to lose me and not scared to lose him. It was just a matter, like, it wasn't a toxic relationship. It was more so I want to be better and I want to not think the way I used to think. So I just, like, the way it worked and the grace he gave me, I'm like, oh, but his relationship, he could have just been like, no, Ivan's done. Like, he could have just, like, no, he's not allowed. But he just completely flipped the switch and he was like, okay, this is what you said, so I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna.
Now I have a question for y'all, or I guess a follow up. Do you feel like that starts with, like, the conversation on relationships and setting boundaries and expectations? Does that start with you and your own friends, or do we learn that from our family and our friends, like our family, our parents? Do you feel like you started? I asked that specifically for me because I didn't really have a lot of friends growing up. Like, how to put it? I couldn't go out. I had friends at school, but I couldn't just be out.
Hang out, yeah.
So the only relationship I saw really was my parents and my neighbors' parents. And everyone was very respectful and very, like, everything was cool. But that's not how everyone was brought up. Yeah. So, like, who we choose to date, we can't decide for them how they get brought up. We don't know. They don't bring that. You know, you don't see, someone doesn't wear their family on their shoulders. You have no idea what household they came from or whatever. So What do you think? Do you think that we have all the power and control to set the boundaries and expectations for our relationships ourselves, or is some of that ingrained in us before we even have before we can even think of it? Like, because we're
Oh my god, that is such a good question.
That is
I think it's a combination of two things.
It's such a good question.
If you're in a relationship and you consider that relationship a serious one, you have to make the decision of understanding that who they are fully is going to be brought to the table. That's step one, right? Now, step two would be to obviously you analyze that and you make sure that that's something that you're going to be comfortable with, and if not, then you have to make that very clear and make that decision up front, because you don't want to drag somebody along, obviously, right? But when it comes to understanding that, like, just because you met somebody one way that doesn't mean that that person's going to be that way like forever. The goal of humanity and life in general is to continue growing and evolving and just becoming a better version of yourself day by day, every single day, you know? So I think that, yes, there's things that that person can bring from their past, from their family dynamic, from their culture even, and you obviously take that into consideration, but you also have to make sure that you're giving and allowing for a space of growth in the relationship, because I'm going to use Sabrina as an example. Like, who she was 5 and a half years ago, even 6 years ago now when I met her, is a completely different person than she is now, right? True. So like, and she was brought up very differently than me, right? The family dynamic is completely different. A lot of things are different. A lot of things are the same too, but like, you know what I mean? Family dynamic in particular, since you brought that topic up, it was very, very different. And she had to learn a lot coming to my household and like understanding that just because she was brought up one way, like, it's not the same way here. And I had to kind of like, I had to like drill that out a little bit, because it wasn't easy in the beginning, you know? Like, she knew what she knew, you know, and she didn't know what she didn't know, right? So like, we had to figure that out and navigate that, and it was definitely not easy, but we're here obviously because we made the intentional effort to figure it out and like grow through it, right? And now she become a better person, I become a better person, just learning and growing through it, you know? So I think that's what it takes. You have to be very, very, it's a marathon.
Yeah, and it's really is.
You have to fight for it. So you have to fight and get over your.
You have to box.
Yeah,
like you literally have to box.
But I think just to kind of like bounce off of that, when you grow up in different house, like your upbringing, say one grows up in a traumatic upbringing and one grows up in a safe home, and then they meet down the road, and that's gonna look very different.
Yeah,
different,
like chaos,
and it can cause a lot of like miscommunication on both ends. You know, one's a safe space and one's like fight or flight mode. So it's like really,
it's like polar opposites.
Yeah, it's really. I feel like the best way for me is to have God at the center of your relationship as you're growing, because then that gives space for like you to love the right way versus feeling like, you know, like you're doing something wrong or whatever. It's just like you're both able to love each other in a healthy way because you have God in your life, and I feel like that allows you to forgive, that allows you to love more and have grace and be kind and stuff. But I feel like if you're not on the same page in your faith, it makes it a lot harder regardless if you're, so you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, that's kind of how I feel like if he's at the center, you will be able to get through hard times. And I feel like you guys are a great testimony to that. Like you've even said, like, I think on the last podcast episode was just, you guys really had to go through a season of just like being tried over and over and over again, and through those hard seasons you're able to love each other even more and lean on each other more. You know, I think that's so beautiful to see.
No, but it's so true, because I don't have any other explanation for like our dynamic except that God like is in the middle, and God is the reason why we're this way or we're that way. Like I don't have any other explanation for how we ended up where we are, or how we ended up being who we are, or how we just like worked our relationship. Like I can't think of anything else but the fact that it was literally Jesus. Like there's nothing. And anything that has changed my personal mindset was God. It was Jesus. Like without God, I don't even know. Like Stephen is like a strong enough man to like help me and guide me and be there for me. But without God, like I have no idea like what I would be, or we would be like. And I know Stephen says the same thing, because it's like we both made a decision to put God in the middle, and like without God, this wouldn't have happened. Like he wouldn't have been able to accept Ivan as my best friend, and me and Ivan probably wouldn't we wouldn't all be here right now without God. Like, you know what I mean? Like this wouldn't have happened. So there's no other explanation.
Yeah.
Like at all.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And
So.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
You go.
No, I just think like even just like our, you know, like our dynamic of just like both you being so like open to like allowing me into your space and, you know, creating like such a beautiful home.
No, this is
just,
chaotic in someone else's mind. They're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like what was happening? Like, what are you
People
doing?
don't comprehend. Like,
Yeah.
I think you posted something the other day and it was like people only, what was it? You
like understand from their own perspective.
Oh,
Like they're
100%.
people only
no.
meet you
People
as
only-
deep as they've met
Yeah.
themselves.
Oh, they only meet you as deeply as they met
Yeah.
themselves. That's the most peaceful statement
That's-
I've ever read in my life.
It really helps you like
That
step
statement
back.
made me
That allows you
go.
to sit back and just let people do
Okay.
it.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it boils down to just perspective and like just the willingness to be open to, you know, not worrying about things that you can't control, and just obviously being in the position of being in alignment with those around you. And I think that at our age now, I feel like the most important thing is being at peace with every single person that you're surrounded by, and like the people in your life. Like you know, that peace is not obviously going to be 24/7, but
Yeah.
seeking that like that comfort and that peace, and that joy, the fruits of the spirit that, you know, are accomplished by being surrounded by godly people and just people that are good, genuine people, right? I feel like that's why it was so easy to build a relationship with you, Lexi, and even you, Ivan. Like it was never forced. It was the friction was hardly ever there, if it was ever there. I don't think it ever.
Yeah.
I never
No,
felt friction with you,
no.
Ivan. Never felt friction with you, Lexi. Like
No.
you know, and I think that when God puts people in your life, and it feels very organic and natural, like, and then they also are very, you know what I mean, like they're very grounded people, they're very spiritual people. They're, you know, I mean, they don't steer you in the direction of sin. You know what I mean? Like those are the most important people to really just be conscious of. Like, wow, that person makes me feel like I don't have the devil pointing, like just tapping my shoulder every time I'm with them. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just something that's super cool. Like every time we're all hanging out or whatever, it's always good vibes. Like,
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
You're right. It's never like a weird, like, you know.
No.
ever.
It's
A weird
literally
comment.
like we are in Friends 24/7.
Yeah.
Like it's
Literally.
just
The Christian version.
Yeah, it's the
I wish-
greatest.
Literally.
It's the greatest thing though, and it's like now that I've been
Friends.
able to grow as like a woman in my own journey of healing and like really like working through my own issues, because you said it's a healing, it's like an inner thing, you know what I mean, to be able to see things in a different perspective, like not from your trauma, but from like, okay, you're your own person. I respect you as a person to do whatever it is that you were doing, while also explaining whatever it is that I'm going through and working through it, you know? So it's just like seeing where I would have been like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I just see the growth so much. Now I'm like, you know, although I say at the beginning, I was like, I wouldn't prefer it. I actually look at where we're at now, and I'm like, why wouldn't I? You know, like it's like you helped me build my vanity out of nowhere.
No,
you weren't
literally.
expecting to come and help me, and it's just like having a friend that's the opposite sex be able to do that. It's like that's a blessing, you know, because I'm out here in Miami. I don't have family. I don't have people out here.
Yep.
So it's just like to have good men that are, you know, just such great people, individuals. It's just such a blessing, you know, it's a blessing. And I feel like if there were to be a man in my life or something that wouldn't want that or would be uncomfortable with it, it would take away from me as creating and being just like, I don't know, you guys are safe, you know, you guys are like a safe space for me. And if something were to happen, I know I can count on you guys. I know I can call you. And I think that as you kind of like step back and you see things differently, you're able to see all the blessings that come with that, you know?
That's
And it's
so
just
crazy.
Like,
That is insane.
it's like I'm changing, and it's the coolest thing to see, because I know it's God.
Yeah.
Because that would not have been me, like, at all, like, a few years ago.
But that's how I felt too with Ivan, because I'm like, when Stephen and Ivan were gonna meet, and I'm like, telling Steven who Ivan is in my life, like I said it, like I'm like, Ivan has been there for me through like really dark times. Like he has come through with like the tool. Like he came in like where he came in the other day and he was like, I'm here with the screwdriver. Like he has done that for me, and like literally I'm like, I can't let go of this human who has just been there for me, unlike most people. Like there's no way. And Steven, I guess he just received that. Like he received it, like, okay. Like he accepted who I am, and he was like, if this is what you say this guy is to you, then I accept it. And then that's how they were able, like,
to build their own relationship.
Yeah,
But
like
from day one, I think me and Jaime hit it off from day one. Like,
no,
we started
they
talking
did.
about
To
trading
be
and
fair,
combos.
if we never knew Sabrina, I think me and Steve would still be friends.
Yeah, we
No, yeah, they don't even need to be here.
We would have been in another lifetime.
Yeah,
Another
we're
lifetime.
here. I'm not even a factor in this relationship. No, but it's really just that, because a few years ago I would have thought the same way you thought. I would have literally just been like, or even getting into a relationship. That's how I thought before. What you just said is like, how you can't take that away from me. Like, why would you take that away from me? Like, you know what I've been through. You know what I've had to deal with. If you care about me, why would you take away someone who's been there for me as a person, no matter what, like the opposite sex or whatever it is? And he did not take that away from me. And that's how I knew, like, God was like, okay, this is, you know.
You know what on the topic of the opposite sex, I feel like that's key, because if, let's say you tell Steven a story about a girl best friend who hurt you, you get what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Like, Steve probably wouldn't react in that way because they're of the same sex, but if she hurt you just as bad or worse, then you should focus on the relationship and not the gender of the person in the relationship.
Yeah.
That's the other layer, because it's like, you focus on the person and how they hurt me and not what gender they are, because you know what I mean? Like, that adds another layer to it, because then it's almost misplaced jealousy, it's or whatever, fear or whatever. It's misplaced because it's like you're focusing on the wrong things, not the intentions, not the actions, not the things themselves,
but the gender,
the situation around the thing, but not the thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other layer that I think should be discussed more. It's like, if you're in it for me, be worried about all the relationships that I have with everybody, not just the ones that are inconvenient for you.
No,
Like, if you have a bad relationship with your boss, and you
and
come and complain about your boss every day, and your boyfriend, fiance never says a word,
doesn't care,
doesn't tell you, hey, you need to stand up to that person or whatever. But
That's
you
so
say,
true.
someone, bought my coffee this morning, he's like, what's his name?
Yeah, no, it's
You know what
so
I mean?
true.
It's like our brains, like, just, we
Only
attach
do
so
what we
much.
want
Yeah, what we want.
to,
We attach so much
That's
to
so
like
one
selective
thing,
brain.
and it could be the whole point could be missed.
No,
Yeah, it's
that's
like
so
when your boyfriend's telling you a story about something and all
And
you
you
hear
just
is
catch
"Ee."
you catch the one
Yeah.
thing, and
You're
you're like,
like,
oh.
Well, I mean, so we give our perspectives, but give your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Stop. Like,
It's
when
your
you,
turn.
because obviously me and you were friends before Stephen, so did you think, I feel like you didn't even think that deep into it at all, but did you think
I feel like people who can't have opposite sex friends are weird. It's like,
Straight up.
y'all are weird. Y'all are a little weird.
yeah.
Because what's the implication here?
Yeah.
That if no one else was in the room, like, something would happen? Like, I
That
try
is
to,
the
like,
literal implication.
that's crazy.
No,
You
but that was
understand
the
how
implication
crazy
with
that
us, like all straight
That's
up.
how I
No,
is? Do you
literally
understand how
though.
nuts that is?
No, but
It's
actually,
like you're gonna pounce on the person? Like,
no,
that's
actually, because
not-
That's like
people
an
operate
insecurity.
that way
that's
though.
crazy.
But that's how most people operate. Unfortunately, they do. Like, literally, that's what we dealt with for freaking like 3 years.
Mhm.
Like, everyone was like, you cannot, you and Ivan are not just friends. Like, it was so annoying. Like, I was like, please shut up. But like, they were like, no, you're not. Like, they literally thought we had to be a thing. Because
Yeah.
we were always together. And our other friend, Michelle. And
Michelle.
they were like, no, you guys are a thing. And I'm like, stop. Please stop. Like, but they couldn't fathom.
They couldn't fathom it.
They
It was
couldn't
impossible.
even. They couldn't
thought we
even
made
It's
come.
because where we're from. It's 'cause
No,
we're-
yeah,
No, it's not.
They
It's
were
not
like,
just where you're from. It's
Well,
a thing.
okay.
In
No, you're
general,
right.
yeah,
But
in
even where
general.
we're from.
but it was annoying for us because we were just like, literally, like, even when we just, like, when we first talked to you guys, like, for Ivan and me to hug is weird. Like, we're just like,
I
okay,
think I hugged you
hello.
for the first time
Like, recently.
in my whole life.
Yeah.
Literally, like, the other day.
No.
Like an actual
Bro,
hug.
that was like, what,
No,
7,
I
8
was so
years
dead
ago?
eyes, bro.
No, actually,
serious.
though. Like, people couldn't understand because we were
I
always
felt
together.
weird. I was like,
Yeah, don't do that ever again. We're like, hey, all right. But no, people couldn't fathom. We were just, it was annoying to us, but at some point we were like, Because what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, what are we gonna do? Like, it's unfortunate they can't fathom that thought, but we know
And
our
I'm just
situation,
like-
so it's.
And I'm just so curious where like that comes from, because I know I'm not the only person that.
No,
thought
I know
that
where it
way or
comes
that
from.
Thinks that
Where
way.
does it come
I know where it comes from.
From best friends.
Yeah.
becoming-
You know what?
No,
I
I
think
Maybe
completely
it's from
get
the
it.
movies. Maybe it's
That's
from
where I
the
think it
movies.
comes from.
But not
That's
just
what I was
movies,
gonna-
but it
rom-coms.
isn't just
That's
every
where it
like.
comes from.
Let's
See,
be
the best
real.
friends
though.
fall in
It's a
love.
thing.
It's a thing.
No,
It's a
but
thing.
it
They
is
make
in
it a
movies.
thing.
But let's be real. In real life, it is true.
Yeah.
Like I was annoyed at the people thinking that of us, but I also could not be very mad because I'm like, I get that
It's
it's
kind of
more-
like a
it's
cute
norm.
thing. Like,
Mhm.
if
It's
you
a
really
norm.
think about it from the outside,
It is
it's
a
kind of
norm.
cute.
I don't think it's cute.
But it's not like-
stop. Not cute.
I think
It's cute if they're
I
not in a
think-
relationship
I
and
think
they're like they're friends and you know what I mean.
People
Like,
don't
that's
think
good.
over them. Like, it's
N-
like,
anyway,
oh, they
no.
work together.
But that's not the point. The point is
Like
that
best
not
friends in movies.
comprehending that two people could be friends and not
It's not.
do something.
Mhm.
Like I was annoyed and he was annoyed, but at the same time, I'm like, I can't be fully mad because I literally everywhere we look, people are best friends and then they end up being together or doing something together or messing around.
Okay.
So I get it, but it's still annoying because it's like if you know who he is and you know who I am, then why would you even think? But at the same time, you probably don't even know who we really are, and I can't be mad at you for that.
And also, I think it's just like from maybe their upbringing, the trauma that they've gone
Yeah,
through,
of everything, yeah.
the false like idea of the love that they've seen, that they've never
There
been
you
able
go.
to truly
Yeah.
like understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Just
it's
different
so
factors that
hard.
play a
Yeah.
part.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what I
so
said.
hard for people
Mhm.
to understand healthy friendships. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we're so healthy friendships doesn't have to just be with one, but people would
Gender, yeah.
prefer it that way, you
Mhm.
know? And it's just, I don't know.
But
That's
it's
why this
literally
is
like
such
what we
a
were talking
big
about
debate.
yesterday.
This is so.
I think
yeah,
I
it's,
think
like,
people
crazy.
who can't handle that, they can't handle their partner having an opposite sex partner. I think that it's a little bit of imposter syndrome, and I'll tell you why. I think it's a little imposter syndrome because it's like you yourself, if you lack self-confidence, you're gonna think that you are not doing something right that someone else might be doing. So you feel like maybe I'm not the person for them,
Oh my god, yeah.
and I'm just preparing them for the next person, and she could be at the post office. Like,
That's like insecurity.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's
I'm
just-
saying
Yeah,
it's-
in general. I
it's
mean,
an
imposter
insecurity,
syndrome, insecurity.
but I'm saying I call
yeah.
it imposter syndrome because it's like if you feel like you're not the match made in heaven of the
Yeah.
soulmate
It's
for
an
that
identity
person.
crisis.
Yeah,
Identity
yeah,
crisis.
identity
That's- I like
crisis.
that
Yeah,
one.
that's
Think
so
about it.
crazy.
It's like because could you
Yeah,
imagine that you're
that's
you're
true.
pouring into this person
Mm-hmm.
for the next person? Like you're gonna, of course, you're gonna watch every little thing that they do. You're like, make sure.
Yeah.
Because what if it's not me? But if you're right with yourself, and back to the conversation, if
Mhm.
God is in the room right with you, and you're right within, and you know the work that you put into yourself, and you know you don't try to be a horrible person, it becomes easier to not see like worthlessness or to see like
Yeah.
lack or like you're not enough.
Right.
But if there's a list of things.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
you complete me.
Yeah,
debate.
thank you.
Like,
Yeah.
Thank you.
a person should never be the thing that completes you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you
It should be two holes.
Mhm.
Like
yeah,
a
it should be
balance,
two
yeah.
whole people coming together with
Mhm.
God at the middle and saying, I choose you and I want to work on me for you.
Mhm.
And it's a never ending process. You have to continuously show up, literally, I'm emphasizing showing up every day.
Perception
And
is so
choosing
crazy
each other
though
too.
because
Yeah,
you know how we just all said two wholes like will equal one. There's people that are like, oh, but you say that that's your other half, and like don't like it doesn't make sense that two whole people could equal one. Isn't it half and half equal one? But like that's where perception comes in too,
Figuratively.
because it's like
My other half figuratively, you know,
Yeah.
as if it was like a puzzle piece and we're coming
Yeah.
together.
yeah, that's what we've always used, the puzzle piece, like the puzzle piece. Like Stephen has always said this to me all the time. He's like, you're the missing puzzle piece. Like you're the piece that was not there. And like I get it, but I'm also a full piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a half
Exactly.
of a piece. I'm a full
Her
piece.
puzzle piece in her world is
Completes.
complete.
It's a whole
thing.
Yeah, it's a
Complete
whole
picture.
thing, and he's a whole thing. Like you can't take half of somebody. Like that's
Yeah, that's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah,
That's
so
selfish.
But that's what
Right.
people do too, though. Like
Yeah.
people
That's
aren't
true.
fully
They're not their
healed,
full selves.
and they're not fully healed. They come
They
together
have love
and
for their
they're-
siblings, but
no,
they don't
two
have that same
halves
love
of
for
a
their
person
partner.
literally come together.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it's just
Damn, that was deep.
Oh my god, ew,
And
are you
they're
kidding
not
me?
the same
Roll it
half.
back.
And they're
Roll
not the
it
same
back.
half. It's like someone could bring their best half and someone could bring their worst half, and
And it's two halves.
No, it's
Like, put the
I
tape
rebuke.
back. Put the tape
For
back.
anyone who has a half watching this, I rebuke them.
Don't have
For life
people
in
on this
Jesus'
side.
no.
Okay.
Around yourself to really seek within yourself, like what is it? Because I know there's people out there that are going through this, like right
They
now.
are probably screaming at us, like, what are you guys talking
In
about?
so many
I will
areas.
never
They're
have
probably
a
gonna
friend
call
of the
bullshit.
opposite.
They're gonna be like,
No, they're gonna think we're like lying and just bullshitting and just.
I mean,
blah, blah, blah.
I straight up just put my business all about there right
No,
away.
we
from
just
the
put our whole
beginning,
entire
so-
life story out there. So how dare you, first of all?
She's like, yeah, I'm single and I just moved to Miami. My name's Alexis.
No, actually, stop.
My ex had a ton of girlfriends, so
Yeah, literally. So if you
and
want to
you
get to
know
know
who
me,
you are.
don't have a
He's
ton.
gonna-
Wait,
he's gonna watch this.
hold on.
Of course.
Let's rewind because you literally came from a place of your ex had a ton of friends who were girls,
Mhm.
and then you came also from a toxic situation. I came from a toxic situation, and you also did.
I was walking on eggshells straight up, bro.
Yeah, so if we
I
could
couldn't
all
breathe without being like.
no, but we were also. I was also the other
So-
girl. Like I
I
not the
was
other
told.
girl.
I was
Wow,
told
that's-
Whoa.
Stop.
Wait.
that
Good
wine.
thing that's not gonna be in the.
That's not what I said.
The wine.
I was the
Let's pull up.
opposite. I was like Lexi in the previous.
Wait, rewind.
But not the other girl. Are you kidding me?
Never the other girl.
Never.
You are the main girl.
Who is that?
Always.
Who is
Always the main girl.
No,
First of
always
all, never
the
the other
main
girl.
character. Okay. Anyway, that was silly.
All right.
Silly us.
Silly Sabrina.
So how we ending
No. What I was trying to say.
6 minutes.
this? 6 minutes in.
Ow!
Did you see? Bloopers.
Stop.
Okay.
I literally used to think exactly how you thought, and I used to say that my ex could not have
Yeah.
a girl that's
Let's talk about it.
a friend of the opposite.
I would
But-
say, actually, I will say this. Okay. I would say if you are a girl in your 20s, because this was me in my 20s. I'm
Mhm.
obviously in my 30s now. So what I went through in my 20s,
You are 30s.
yeah,
You're not in your 30s.
I'm in my 30s. I'm in my 30s.
I repeat.
They're gonna think like you're like 23 years
They're
old when they see this.
They're
They're gonna be like.
No, they're gonna think you're 34 after you just said
I
you're
didn't think
30.
you were
No,
like
facts.
30. I didn't think she was they were 23.
Yeah.
No,
stop.
never, and I love that for me because
Yeah.
skincare on
Good
point.
genes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What? But no, what I would say is like if you are in your early 20s and you're a woman and you're in a relationship and you are maybe feeling insecure because your partner has friends that are females, ask yourself, why do you feel that way? Can you trust them? Do you have a healthy relationship that you can go to your partner and you can actually have those conversations? But if they're making you feel insecure or making you feel crazy or making you feel like you're losing your mind, then maybe reanalyze the situation. Because if a man's not making you feel comfortable and he has friends that are females, then maybe that's not the man
I'd
for
like
you.
to add something to that.
Please add.
Many times, what you just said, Father, was perfect. You could just take that whole part right there. But
Yeah.
many times, men do snap when women react in that way, and women take it as you're reacting poorly, which proves me right.
Yeah.
Not the case.
That's true.
Maybe you're just bringing back situations that they've been in that remind them of things that they don't like, so they act worse.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they
That's
feel.
so good.
That
Yeah,
is
think about it.
So.
It's like if
Wow.
you
That's
try to
very
call somebody
general.
out,
General.
Yeah.
and they feel like you're acting like their ex did,
Mm-hmm.
so they close off. You think they're closing off because they're lying,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not why they're closing off. So it just adds to the problem.
So they're
No.
so you feel like they're closing.
You're
off.
perpetuating the
Yeah.
problem
They
that you're
don't.
trying to avoid.
No, and that's that's general though.
It is
Because
general.
like
That's like
everything.
psychology
No, but it's-
405.
I love
Yeah,
psychology.
but literally
Not 101.
no, because that's
Don't
that
have
is a literal perfect example of a general situation. Like
Yeah.
in general, when someone, doesn't matter who, men or woman, says something that you are like that you don't agree with, or you're like, how could you say that about me, or how could you think that, or how could you're gonna get mad. So it doesn't matter if it's a guy or a girl, you're gonna be like, what do you like?
What do you mean?
You're gonna react like even because it's happened to me. Like and it's been with man and woman. Like there was no specific like gender that said something to me where I was like reacting in a different way based on gender. It was just like you said something
It's wrong.
that you thought of me that was so wrong that I got so angry, and now I'm kind of projecting it on
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
So it's
It goes
like
off.
yeah, it's just a general thing. Like,
Yeah,
it's
people
a-
don't even like realize it either, like when it's
No.
happening. So it's like
no.
that goes back to the point of being emotionally intelligent, being conscious, being mature, being
Mhm.
just grown up. Like I feel like people that are immature, they kind of like they're not conscious of the things that they're saying.
I have a great question for y'all. Sorry, it just came up.
You're good.
Let's say you had a child or a younger sibling and they're dealing with that. What advice would you give to your child or your younger sibling if they were the person who didn't trust, and then if they were the person who didn't get trusted?
That's like a whole nother topic for
Are you kidding me?
Episode 3, stay tuned.
So let's just keep it short. Then, I would say relax and take a deep breath, because it's not as deep as you think it is.
I'm doing it right now.
It's really not as deep as you think it is. And like,
breathe in and out.
you want to make a situation. You want to understand the situation from their perspective, not from your perspective. Because if you understand their perspective, you're going to see it differently. If you're only seeing your perspective, you're going to only see what you want to see. And if you allow yourself to hear what they are saying without having a biased opinion, then you won't feel so attacked or insecure. And it'll allow them to be able to be that person that they are.
The reason I ask is because in my own personal development journey, whenever I've struggled with something, I've always did that thought exercise of like, because when you think of your child, you think you want the most pure thing possible for that child. If you say like my brother or like my friend or even myself, I'll try, but like genuinely my brain won't
fully go there.
Yeah, then but if you say child, now my brain goes there. The thought exercise is everything you just said, now apply that to yourself. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
You get like
It's so beautiful.
the same way that you would deliver that
It's
wisdom.
like reverse engineering.
It's reverse engineering the wisdom that you wish you could have, because you have it because you just said it. So it's like apply it to yourself, and not you. I'm saying like this is advice
but
that.
it's good.
That is why.
That's so good. I'm gonna rewind that and tell.
That's how I got invited on this podcast.
No, honestly, but that's why like parents say that their children teach them.
They do.
Wow.
Because it is literally that. Like I think we all can say that there's been a moment where we realized that our parents learned something from us, right? Like we can all say that. And like not in a bad way, in an
100%.
amazing way, because it's like they've given us life and now we're able to kind of like
Give it back.
Give it
Yeah.
back. Facts.
But like
It's a
I
lot.
also want my kid to teach, like I don't want to just grow up. I want this is the thing I always say too, because like I mean me and Steven obviously talking about our future kids, there's so many conversations like what do we do if our kid this? What do we do if our kid that? Like we talk about that now, and I'm like, I want my child I want my kid to have their own mind so badly that like we can sit at a table and they can disagree with me and give me their perspective. Respectfully disagree with me, because
That's such a like great skill to have.
Crazy.
yeah,
Like
because
the skill of debating, the skill of having a conversation that technically goes against that other person, but you can do it in such a very graceful way. Like to have a conversation in a mature way, that's such a great skill to have.
because I don't want, because it's not like, you know how like a lot of people on, I mean, this could be unfortunate or it could be fortunate, it depends on the situation. They will grow their child into being them, right? It's like my me, my replicate of me. But I want my kid to have their own mind, like their own mind. Like, and this comes also from my mom. Like my mom raised me to like speak my mind and say what I feel and those things. And like, it's funny because I feel like sometimes now she's like, well, I don't think that. So where did you get that from? But I'm like, well, Mom, you taught me to have my own thoughts and my own mind, and like I know she loves that too at the same time. But like, it's also like I don't want to be in a situation where I thought that I warped my child into thinking something. I want them to be like, Mom, this is what I've experienced, and this is what I think, and I'm like, wow.
There's certain things you pass down to your child.
Yeah.
In terms of just
discernment,
practical wisdom.
They need discernment because the way that we grow up is not the way they're gonna grow up. So there's my mom always, shout out to my mom, she always tells the stories about, you know, when I was.
Shout out to our mom.
Shout out to mom.
Shout out to mom. We love our mom.
Shout out to all the moms.
All the moms.
My mom always tells us stories about, you know, when I was your age, you know, fulanito from down the block, he did this,
Not
and then,
fulanito.
you know, he like threw a rock, and then I'm like, Mom, we're not doing that nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, everything is online, like it's just not the same.
Times change.
But the lesson is relevant, but it's 100%. It's like,
no, I know, but it's hard for them too. That's why I said shout out to the moms, because it's so hard to grow up a certain way and grow up in a certain time, you know, era, and like understand, like try to understand how we are now, right? Like it's hard for our parents to understand.
I think we were talking about earlier. So when we got our first phones,
right.
like
first phones,
literally,
Wow.
I got my first
That's
phone when I was
crazy.
15.
Me too. 15.
I was
15? Okay.
I was
And you said
literally a flip phone.
12?
12, yeah.
12?
Yeah,
You were
I was
spoiled.
definitely like 10.
I know,
Flip
facts.
phone, bro.
No, I was definitely
You were
like,
spoiled.
I was
It was
definitely
a flip
like
phone
9,
Samsung
like
or
8, 9,
something.
10. What? Because just
Also
like my
spoiled.
security purposes, like my mom was just very protective of me.
Well,
And-
yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. You grew up in the
Mhm.
city, I grew up in the country. So
Yeah,
why did
yeah.
I need a phone for what? We didn't have
Mhm.
service out there.
Damn.
So
You could have just hollered.
No, but
yeah,
it's
we
actually
we
crazy
had to
because
have the
I did.
actual phone. Like, we had
Nuts.
to actually call you know, you
Mhm.
call your friends, family, and they'd be like, "Oh, like,
Come to the phone.
yeah,
Mhm.
your friend's calling you," or they'd
No,
be
but
like, "They
it's
can't
so
talk
good
right now."
though, because I actually did feel a sense of security, even at such a. I was like, what, like 8 years old, and I felt a sense of security when my mom did give me a phone, because I'm like, oh, okay, I can call my mom whenever now.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, you're
it did
safe.
make me feel better. So
Yeah.
like, I get it. You know,
Oh,
like,
that's so cute when like I see kids texting their mom like
I
in
know, but I feel bad for my
elementary.
mom because
Yeah.
like, how
I'm
hard
like,
is it to worry about your child at 8
My
years
mom
old?
traumatized me with my
That's
phone.
so hard.
My mom would text me and I wouldn't respond and she'd show up.
Yeah, what? I'm doing that now. My mom doesn't respond to me now. I'm like, I'm calling my sister. She's calling me. Mom,
Yeah.
where's mom?
Is
Why is
she
she not
okay?
responding? She's
No,
like, I'm
same.
in TJ Maxx. I'm like,
No,
are
my
you kidding?
mom-
Like, stop.
The other day, my mom didn't.
Just how dare you?
It snowed and she didn't have like.
I know
the
she was
power
like,
went
she's
out.
losing her mind.
I literally had
She's
anxiety.
like,
I
I'm
was
touching
like,
my mom. I don't know where she is. Like, and her mom's like, it's just
Whole
it's
time
snowing.
she's just chilling.
the
Yeah.
whole time my mom doesn't
probably
have
sipping
electricity
hot
for like
chocolate,
18
making snow-
hours.
snowman.
She's making snowman.
Yeah, because it snowed. Yeah, she was
She's
making
snow angels.
snowman.
Yeah,
She's
literally.
baking gingerbread cookies in her house. Like
That's
I'm
such
freaking
a
out because
movie.
I can't get a hold of her, and
Perspective.
she's just.
Let's just say we understand everything our parents dealt with, because even
Yeah,
when I see a baby in church that I'm watching, a little child just chewing on food, I'm like, are you alive? And is the food going down your throat the right way? Because
I can't watch.
I
baby.
cannot fathom the thought of you
That's
choking on
so
your food.
stressful.
Like, I shout out.
CPR. Everybody needs
So-
to know CPR.
Do you guys
Shout out
think
to CPR.
it's safe to say that in relationships, it is vastly important for the couple to be emotionally intelligent and have God in their lives in order for them to be able to comprehend and I don't like the word allow.
Yeah.
Just,
Facilitate.
just facilitate or just be
Open.
to having friendships of the
Mhm.
opposite sex in the dynamic of the relationship. You feel like to just end off the episode, we want to kind of like give like that finishing thought of what do you guys think is required for a couple to just be mature enough to allow that. I keep using that word allow. I don't want to use the word allow. Disregard that.
To receive
To receive the just the
The dynamic.
dynamic of
dynamic.
someone's relationship.
So I was like,
Dynamic.
yeah, what do you guys think? Just to end off the episode.
Like, what is the thing you need in order to?
You said emotional
accept.
maturity. I like emotional maturity.
Mm-hmm.
And like I mentioned, experiences. Like you have to go through hardship to learn from them. If you never
Mhm.
went through a rocky relationship and your partner did, they might think you don't care. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Emotional
think
maturity.
emotional maturity and experiences, like whether you learn the lesson from the experience.
Mm-hmm.
We all have experiences, but sometimes we keep
What lesson do you learn?
what lessons do you learn? Because if you keep going through the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's like let's say you're dating the wrong person every
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
You always feel that same way every time. You're not learning the lesson. So I think it's emotional maturity for sure, but it's the lessons that you carry with you from one relationship to the next, not just the romantic ones. All your relationships.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys?
And I think that it's obviously God, like I said, is like the main thing. Having God in your life is like a huge factor. Like whether you're watching this and you're a Christian or not, or you don't even know who God is or who Jesus is, like I'm saying this from someone who used to live a different life as well and didn't depend on God and didn't depend on Jesus. Like that's the main thing for me. But also just taking because I study psychology, I have a bachelor's of psychology. I wanted to be a therapist to study the way the mind works. I had to fully understand that, like, it's basically what you said, taking your old situations and either learning from them in what way, doing the same thing that you've seen happen in the past or just doing the opposite. So the old Sabrina would have thought in this situation, you just asked me, the old Sabrina would have said, like, don't trust them. Just don't even give them a chance, like, at all, because everyone's the same. But the new Sabrina, being open-minded and being open-hearted and allowing Jesus to intercede in all of my relationships, would say, treat people how you want to be treated and open your heart and open your mind to whatever that person wants you to receive from them, just like Stephen did for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with having individually having a strong spiritual foundation. Like once you accept God into your life, Jesus into your life, like you just start seeing the world differently. Like you start acting differently, you start thinking differently. Like you start like literally feeling like you got God watching you at every moment. So like you start auditing your thoughts, you start auditing your actions,
I like that.
and you're not gonna like you're just gonna be somebody who just wants to make God proud every single day, every single time you have an opportunity to. So like being a person that like that and having a partner that sees things in that way too, like you don't want to like act in a way or think in a way that will go against what God wants you to what he would want you to do or what he would want you to think, like and just having that biblical perspective to life every single day, like that just it literally transforms you, you know, like just like it transformed her, transformed me, sure you guys as well, like, and it's a never-ending process too. So like, but it's like having God on your shoulder, like just sitting there, just
it's like you said earlier, awareness. First step is awareness.
Awareness, yeah.
So I think that's something that's super important nowadays for people just to really just dissect that and prioritize that and just be a man or woman of God, like that you have to take very seriously. Like people don't really like treat that as important as they should, you know what I mean? And I think in relationships, if you have that at the core, like you're gonna be okay, no matter how hard it gets. It's gonna not be easy. Like, you know what I mean? It hasn't been easy with us too, but since we've been able to build our spiritual, you know what I mean, our spiritual strength, that muscle, like
we've never gone backwards.
yeah, it's constant forward progress. You know what I mean? Like we fail forward. You know? And for all the experiences that we've had, like we always go back to the word and we say, all right, like how am I supposed to navigate this? And like, how can I become a better version of myself through this as a man and as a woman, like, you know? And then we come together and we're like, oh shit, wow, like this is what we're supposed to do. And like in the process, we're making God proud because, you know, we're always turning back to him, right? And that's what he wants. So
that was so good because as I'm sitting here just listening to all of your perspectives, I'm getting like a whole like life lesson for myself because I just feel like it's important to have friends that are different than you know, so you can learn from and so you can grow from. And I feel like to be able to take this and really like reflect on my own journey, I'm like, wow, what a whole experience. Like if you would have asked me to ever be on a podcast talking about this, I would have been like so freaked out. I would have never done it. I would have never done this. But now I can say looking into, you know, into myself and as a woman, like I said, on my journey of just becoming the best version of myself that I possibly can become, I can say now, like, what's so important to me is creating healthy boundaries and reframing specific situations to where I'm shifting the perspective to be able to see things differently and also to be able to be like God-centered, you know, and to not see people as a threat. Like I feel like I did that so much, and I don't know why I did that. I would just be
seeing people as a threat.
Yeah, like I would just be like, it was definitely the enemy, like just trying to make me feel like insecure. Like you said, even at the beginning, like you don't feel good enough. And I remember, like, say for example, if I was in a relationship and I would see somebody, a female, pop up on his phone or something like that, I would be like, why are you texting somebody? Like, why are you texting a female? You know what I mean? And that could have been nothing. And it just was me feeling not good enough, or it was me feeling like I wasn't.
But it could also be something.
It could, no, and 100%.
Yeah. 100%. We can't take, hold on. Everyone needs discernment. You know, it's not always innocent. But
1,000%.
That's the point.
It's just having discernment, like I said at the beginning, but not jumping to conclusions.
You know
what I mean? Because it's like, when you have discernment, you know, like you can't really mess with this woman who has God because God's gonna reveal it one way or another, whether it's through your dreams, whether it's through friends or whatever. But no, I think that the boundaries are the most important thing because and also like moving forward in a relationship, like being able to say like, is that something that is like, what does that look like for me? You know, like that's something that I have to explore and to just be comfortable with. But also, what was I gonna say? Being able to to really just like allow God.
Accept.
Allow God to let me love somebody that's not, that this is in a different situation, you know?
Is this
But
what you were saying to
also-
your kid?
No, wait, but also, I also feel like as a woman, if my man didn't feel comfortable with me having male friends, like I would be okay with being like, okay, well, I will respect you as a man. I will respect you as my partner. I will respect, if this makes you feel uncomfortable, let's talk about it. And if this is friendship, maybe it's not even a friendship, maybe it's something that's, you know what I mean? Like somebody, whatever. If that person made my partner feel uncomfortable, I wouldn't be like, because I don't have like such a strong friendship with somebody to, like you and Ivan are so close, right? So that's easier for you guys to kind of like talk about and like be like, I don't want to lose this person.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I really have a man
Wow,
friendship
that's
in my
so
life
crazy.
that I would be not willing to lose. You know what I mean? So like if that made somebody feel uncomfortable, I'd just be like, okay, like I mean that I would be.
Yeah,
I would be able to
you set a
respect
boundary.
somebody.
You set a boundary and you
Yeah.
respect it. You know.
No, but that whole perspective is insane because I understand where you're coming from because it's like if Steven told me that like I don't want you to have guy friends. Okay, saying I don't want you to have guy friends is weird. So
Right.
I wouldn't respect that. I'd be like, what are you talking about? But like,
wait a minute.
like but if he said.
If he
Something
had
about-
discernment and was like, this makes me feel uncomfortable, this friendship doesn't sit right with my spirit, or something like that.
But this is also the thing too, because if Stephen was like, because he never said that, but if he was to say like, I don't really like the dynamic you and I can have, or like I don't really want that. I'm not okay with that. I'm not comfortable with it. The thing is that I think the thing that I thought when this was a situation in the beginning, because I knew Steven would have to accept Ivan as my best friend in the beginning. And my thing was like, I felt so strongly that I know who I am and I know our relationship and I know that nothing ever happened between us and I know that nothing ever could happen between us and I know that he's literally like my brother. Like I know that so strongly that I would have gotten mad. I would have gotten very mad. I know I would have. If Steven said,
it would have been upsetting.
But because I know who I am, that can come from anywhere. Like you can't, like someone else could get mad just because they're mad that they can't have a toxic relationship. You know what I mean?
Talk about it.
Like someone could be like, oh, I'm mad now that I can't have my little side toxic relationship. Like I understand that because it could be true, but I would have gotten mad because it's like, you don't know me that well to understand that he's literally just my brother. And I would have stood on that so badly because I would want Steven to accept it so bad because my whole life, people have not accepted me. And they've judged me and they've assumed and so I would want my partner so badly to just accept that because it's what I longed
for. It's not even about me.
It's not about me.
Trusting your discernment.
Yeah, I would have so badly, like deeply desired someone to just fully believe who I am because people have always judged me just because they wanted to.
Right, and that also goes into having like the right intention. Like I will I will respect you. Like I will respect you as a man if this makes you feel uncomfortable. But what's the intention behind it? Is it because you're controlling?
Yeah.
Is it because you're insecure? Is it because you are jealous? Like what is the intention? Is it because you see that this man that I have in my life or friend or whatever they may be has a spirit of lust or something and that I might not see it and I might think that they're a friend and I might think that they're a good person. That's where it comes to having good
There's so many,
it's like there's so many layers to it.
It's so many layers.
That's how I feel. It's like, first of all, having boundaries, reframing the thought process of like, if I were to look at somebody and see a woman, now I'm not going to really be like, oh, you're a threat because I'm confident in who I am and I know like what I bring to this man's life, right? So
and it's like giving grace that you also want.
It's like and now and just seeing it, like the friendships that you can create are beautiful. The fact that you two can be best friends, business partners, it's like I can see that it's not always what you think it is. It's always it could always
and you
be
could
something
be an
better.
example for people who don't believe it's true.
It could always be something better. So it's like there is room for growth. And I definitely am growing, and I'm just like, wow, really grateful for it. And to see healthy friendships and healthy, healthy, established, people that are just like really.
But it takes one person's
what they're
decision
too.
You feel that way because of Steven's decision. Because if Steven didn't accept Ivan and me being best friends, you would have never seen this. And now that you've seen this, you can do it with someone else, and someone else can see it. Like it's like a trickle.
That's really what humans are all here for.
Yeah.
They want to help each other.
And we're here to like break like the stigma of like what it's been, you know, like so many
It really
people
It's possible.
it's possible. It is
Anything's
possible, but it's like it does take healing for your inner wounds and your trauma, and just being able to be vulnerable. Because I think sometimes people have a hard time being vulnerable with why they have a hard time like accepting that, you know. But I've been pretty vulnerable this whole entire podcast.
I think we all have.
So I definitely think we'd love to hear your thoughts. Whoever's watching this, what your perspectives are, what your feelings are towards this subject. I think it's something that we would love to hear about, and we'd love to talk about it in the future. I think it's a topic that a lot of people talk about, I'm sure, on their own. And if you don't mind, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
So
comment below.
And I have a challenge.
Ooh.
I feel like if your partner has a best friend, you should try to get to know them better.
And if you have tried to get to know them better, what happened?
And also, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, ask yourself, why does it make you feel uncomfortable? And maybe bring it up to your partner so that way you can kind of figure out what's the real issue. Because maybe they don't even know about it and it's causing problems. And that's something that you can overcome, and just having grace for each other in the season, because you don't want to ruin your relationship because you're insecure for something that they can maybe.
I'll add an extra challenge to that challenge. I challenge everyone to ask yourself if you are in the right relationship, because sometimes people try to force something that is not healthy. Because if they ask themselves, if someone genuinely asks themselves that question and they're not able to, sit with an answer, maybe it's because they knowingly are in a relationship that they don't actually need to be in or want to be in. But they're choosing, comfort or whatever it is. So maybe it's out for another day too, but
No, oh my God.
But real healthy conversations lead to real healthy relationships.
So get that title.
And decisions. So comment below, even if it's a paragraph long, let us know your situation.
We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
God bless.